Imagine standing at the edge of the desert, gazing up at a colossal pyramid that reaches toward the sky, its stones heavy with the weight of history, its construction a mystery that has perplexed humanity for millennia. How did a civilization, without cranes, computers, or modern machinery, craft such an extraordinary monument? Was it sheer human willpower, or could something far more extraordinary have been at play? Some say it was advanced lost technology. Others whisper of ancient aliens guiding their hands. Every stone, every angle, every alignment tells a story that the world is still trying to decode. In the next few minutes, you will uncover the most captivating, jaw-dropping, and mind-bending theories about the pyramids. Ideas so daring they could rewrite history itself. This isn't just another history lesson. It's a journey into the heart of one of humanity's greatest mysteries. I'm curious, where are you tuning in from, and what time is it there? Feel free to share in the comments. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Get cozy. It's time to let your mind wander, whether you're winding down for sleep or simply enjoying the calm. It's truly great having you here. Let's dive in. Picture this, standing before the Great Pyramid of Giza, gazing up at its imposing form, an ancient wonder that has withstood the test of time for over 4,000 years. A question that has puzzled generations of historians, architects, and archaeologists still lingers. How did the ancient Egyptians manage to build this colossal structure with the tools and technology available to them at the time? For years, the story of the pyramids has been told as a tale of human ingenuity, of tens of thousands of laborers, copper chisels, and stone ramps. But what if I told you that the answer to this mystery lies beyond human history, in the stars themselves? Beneath the shifting sands of time, hidden in plain sight, a theory emerges that challenges everything we've been taught about the pyramids. What if the pyramids were not built by humans alone? What if they were the work of extraterrestrial beings, beings whose knowledge and technology were far beyond what the ancient Egyptians could have fathomed? Beings from distant star systems, perhaps from Orion, Pleiades, or even further still. Beings who arrived on Earth in antiquity, bringing with them secrets that would allow the Egyptians to create architectural wonders that defy the limitations of their era. Let's peel back the layers of this theory, step by step, and uncover the astonishing possibility that the pyramids may not be entirely of human origin. Instead, could they have been guided by the hand of a civilization so advanced that their gifts to the Egyptians would have seemed nothing short of divine? These extraterrestrial visitors weren't just offering basic assistance. They were bestowing knowledge of technologies and principles that would change the course of history forever. Let's delve into how they might have done it, and the tantalizing implications of their involvement in building these monumental structures. The aliens. Who were they? To understand who these visitors might have been, we first need to look to the stars. The theory suggests that these extraterrestrials came from star systems visible to the naked eye, Orion, Pleiades, and Sirius being among the most frequently mentioned. These stars were deeply embedded in the Egyptian religious consciousness, particularly the Orion constellation, which was directly tied to Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that Osiris came from the stars, and his soul resided in the constellation of Orion. But what if Osiris, and other gods like him, were more than just mythological figures? What if they were extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in ancient times, imparting their advanced knowledge to the Egyptians? What if these gods weren't merely divine beings, but advanced beings from another world, guiding humanity in ways far beyond anything we could comprehend? These extraterrestrial visitors, according to this theory, were not just random travelers passing through space. They were part of a far more significant cosmic mission. They were engineers, scientists, and astronomers with a deep understanding of the universe. They could manipulate energy fields, harness advanced propulsion systems, and possibly even alter gravitational forces. These beings possessed technologies that were so advanced, they would have appeared as miracles to the people of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians, in turn, worshipped them as gods, building temples and monuments in their honor, forever associating their extraterrestrial visitors with divine status. How did they build the pyramids? Now we come to the most captivating part of the theory, the actual construction of the pyramids. How could these massive, awe-inspiring structures have been built with such precision? How could the ancient Egyptians, using primitive tools like copper chisels, simple sledges, and ramps, possibly have managed to move and position stones weighing tons with such accuracy? The answer, according to the ancient astronaut theory, lies in advanced alien technology. These extraterrestrials were not just teaching the Egyptians how to move stone. They were providing them with the tools to manipulate the very forces of nature itself. One of the most compelling aspects of this theory is the suggestion that the aliens used anti-gravity devices or some form of levitation technology to lift and position the massive stone blocks. Imagine this: massive limestone blocks, some weighing as much as 30 tons, being effortlessly lifted into place with no visible means of support. These blocks would have been too heavy to move with mere sledges and ropes. So, how could the Egyptians, with their limited technology, possibly have moved them? The theory suggests that these extraterrestrial beings brought with them advanced technology capable of manipulating gravity, allowing the stone blocks to float through the air or be lifted with ease, placed with incredible precision. Furthermore, these extraterrestrial visitors may have used advanced cranes, electromagnetic fields, or high-tech mechanical devices that were far beyond the Egyptians' understanding. Such devices could have been used to manipulate and move the stones with exact precision, without the need for complex manual labor or extensive ramps. In this theory, these alien beings didn't just help with the lifting of stones. They introduced an entire set of advanced tools and machinery that would have seemed like magic to the ancient Egyptians. These tools, passed down from the gods, or extraterrestrials, would have been indispensable in creating a structure as perfect as the Great Pyramid. But it wasn't just about lifting stones. The construction of the pyramids required an understanding of mathematics, engineering, and astronomy, fields that the Egyptians seemed to excel in, but whose origins remain a mystery. How did the ancient Egyptians, with no formal education or modern tools, manage to achieve such precision in the construction of the pyramids? According to the ancient astronaut theory, the knowledge that allowed the Egyptians to align the pyramids to the stars, construct them with perfect proportions, and understand the celestial mechanics that govern the universe came from their extraterrestrial visitors. These beings, highly advanced in their understanding of the universe, imparted to the Egyptians their astounding knowledge of geometry, mathematical principles, and astronomical calculations. The alignment of the pyramids to Orion's belt and their precise orientation to the cardinal points could only have been achieved by beings with an understanding of celestial mechanics far beyond the capabilities of the ancient Egyptians. But the knowledge didn't stop with astronomy. The visitors also introduced the Egyptians to engineering techniques that allowed them to create monumental structures like the pyramids, which required intricate calculations and an understanding of structural integrity. The sheer scale of the project required a level of logistical planning and organization that would have been impossible without advanced knowledge of architecture and engineering. So, where did these beings come from? The extraterrestrials are often theorized to have come from star systems that are visible to the naked eye: Orion, Pleiades, and Sirius. These star systems have long been associated with ancient myths and legends. In Egypt, Orion was the celestial home of Osiris, and in other cultures, the Pleiades and Sirius were revered as the dwelling places of gods. These star systems were central to the spiritual and religious beliefs of many ancient cultures, and their significance cannot be overstated. It is theorized that these beings didn't just visit Earth once. They were part of an ancient interstellar civilization that had traveled across the cosmos, passing on their advanced knowledge to civilizations on Earth. Their visits, far from being isolated incidents, may have been a regular part of their interactions with humanity, spreading knowledge and technology across the ancient world. While much of the evidence for this theory is speculative, there are several artifacts and phenomena that proponents of the theory point to as supporting evidence. The Saqqara bird, an ancient Egyptian artifact that resembles a modern airplane, is often cited as evidence of ancient knowledge of aerodynamics. Some believe it's a model of a flying craft, perhaps designed with guidance from extraterrestrial visitors who had mastered flight long before humans could. Then there's the precise alignment of the pyramids to the stars, the knowledge of which could not have been obtained without sophisticated tools and techniques. The level of mathematical precision in the construction of the pyramids, as well as the use of complex geometry in their design, further supports the idea that the Egyptians may have been taught by extraterrestrials who had advanced knowledge of these sciences. In the end, the ancient astronaut theory suggests that the pyramids are not just monumental tombs built by ancient Egyptians. They are cosmic markers, aligned with the stars and constructed using knowledge and technologies passed down from extraterrestrial beings. These beings, who came from the stars, didn't just leave behind monuments. They left behind a legacy of knowledge, technology, and wisdom that would shape human history for millennia to come. So next time you stand before the pyramids, gazing at their towering majesty, ask yourself, could this truly be the lasting legacy of an ancient civilization that was guided by beings from another world? Could these awe-inspiring structures be the remnants of a time when humanity was not alone, but instead was touched by the hand of beings who came from the stars? The truth may lie buried in the sands of time, waiting for those willing to look beyond the surface and uncover the secrets hidden within. Imagine for a moment that the ancient Egyptians were not the first civilization to have knowledge of monumental construction. What if there was an earlier, highly advanced civilization, long lost to history, that not only had the ability to construct pyramids, but passed on that knowledge to the Egyptians? The idea of a pre-Egyptian advanced civilization is one of the most captivating theories, and it takes us into the realm of lost histories, secret knowledge, and civilizations that might have existed long before the rise of Egypt. The most famous theory centers around the myth of Atlantis, a legendary civilization described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. According to Plato's dialogues, Atlantis was an island of incredible wealth, power, and technological advancement. A civilization so far ahead of its time that it could manipulate energy, construct enormous structures, and travel the seas with unimaginable ease. Atlantis, however, was said to have disappeared beneath the waves in a catastrophic event, leaving only stories behind. Stories that have sparked imaginations for centuries. But what if the knowledge of Atlantis didn't completely disappear? What if it was passed down to later civilizations, including the Egyptians, who used it to construct the pyramids? According to this theory, the Egyptians didn't develop the methods to build the pyramids on their own, but instead inherited the advanced knowledge of pyramid construction from the Atlanteans, who had perfected the techniques long before the rise of Egyptian civilization. This theory suggests that the construction methods used to build the pyramids were passed down through secret teachings, hidden in the folds of history from one great civilization to another. The key to understanding this theory lies in the extraordinary precision and complexity of the pyramids, which seem to defy the capabilities of the time. The advanced engineering required to construct these massive structures, the astronomical alignments, the intricate mathematical calculations. All of these elements point to a level of understanding and skill that seems to transcend the known capabilities of ancient Egypt. How could such knowledge have emerged from a relatively primitive society? One possibility is that it didn't emerge from Egypt at all, but was inherited from a far more advanced civilization like Atlantis. But Atlantis is not the only lost civilization that could have had a hand in the construction of the pyramids. There are other theories that propose ancient civilizations, now lost to time, could have passed down their knowledge. One such civilization is the Sumerians, whose advanced knowledge of writing, mathematics, and astronomy dates back to the 3rd millennium BCE. Some believe that the Sumerians, with their detailed understanding of the stars and their mathematical prowess, might have shared their knowledge with the Egyptians long before Egypt rose to prominence. The Sumerians themselves were known to have established extensive trade routes and cultural exchanges with other ancient civilizations, and it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they could have passed on certain construction techniques and architectural knowledge to the Egyptians. Then there's the theory of Mu, a civilization sometimes considered a precursor to Atlantis, said to have existed in the Pacific Ocean, which, like Atlantis, vanished after a cataclysmic event. Mu was said to be a civilization with vast knowledge of the earth, water, and sky, possessing technologies that allowed them to manipulate nature on a grand scale. According to proponents of this theory, the people of Mu could have passed down their advanced building techniques, including knowledge of pyramid construction, to other civilizations, including Egypt. The idea here is that pyramid-like structures existed in Mu, much like the ones in Egypt, and the Egyptians learned from them as they rose to power. And let us not forget the ancient civilizations of the Americas, such as the Maya and the Inca. These cultures, with their awe-inspiring pyramids and astronomical knowledge, may have been influenced by older, lost civilizations from across the ocean. Some even suggest that the pyramids of Egypt, with their similar geometrical proportions and alignment to celestial bodies, may have had an influence on these later cultures. If such a cross-cultural exchange did occur, it could explain the remarkable similarities between pyramidal structures in Egypt and those found in the Americas, such as the pyramids of Teotihuacan or the Mayan pyramids at Chichen Itza. In these theories, the lost civilizations are seen as highly advanced societies that possess not only architectural skills, but also the understanding of energy, astronomy, and engineering that would have been necessary to construct such awe-inspiring structures. What if these civilizations had learned the secrets of the earth, harnessing energies and forces we're only beginning to understand? What if they developed the knowledge of how to manipulate the natural world, using the Earth's magnetic fields, solar energy, or even resonance to aid in the construction of their grand structures? This knowledge, if passed down through time, would have found its way to the Egyptians, enabling them to build the pyramids with incredible precision. The idea of lost civilizations, particularly the theory of Atlantis, offers an alternative view of history. A history that is not linear, but cyclical, where knowledge is lost, rediscovered, and passed on through the ages. The pyramids, in this view, become more than just tombs. They are the legacy of an ancient wisdom, passed down through the ages by those who came before, those who understood the universe in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. And perhaps this ancient knowledge did not just help the Egyptians build the pyramids. It may have been the key to understanding the very forces of nature. Could the knowledge of energy, resonance, and cosmic alignment be the hidden foundation upon which these magnificent structures were built? Could the secrets of the pyramids lie not just in the stone and the mortar, but in the understanding of the unseen forces that govern our universe, forces that were known to these lost civilizations and passed on through the ages? But there's more. There are other theories, perhaps even stranger, that might change everything we know about how the pyramids were built. Stay tuned, for we have only just begun to peel back the layers of this ancient mystery. There is a theory, one that has remained under the surface for years, suggesting that modern Egyptology might be deliberately suppressing evidence of something far more extraordinary than we've been led to believe. What if it's not just extraterrestrial involvement or advanced ancient technologies that have been hidden, but a deeper, more profound truth, one that would change everything we know about the pyramids and possibly even humanity's entire history? This theory suggests that mainstream historians, archaeologists, and Egyptologists have not only concealed the involvement of non-human beings or advanced ancient civilizations in pyramid construction, but have also actively worked to bury the most shocking evidence of all. What could they be hiding, and why? For decades, certain findings related to the pyramids have been dismissed, overlooked, or quietly forgotten. Some argue that there are artifacts, ancient texts, and physical evidence that point to a reality much more astonishing than what we've been taught in schools. There have been reports of strange mechanical devices, crystal-like materials, and other unusual artifacts found in and around the pyramid sites. Objects that don't quite fit the timeline or the tools known to have existed at the time. But these discoveries rarely, if ever, make it into the public sphere. Instead, they're quickly dismissed, chalked up to simple misinterpretations or ignored entirely by the mainstream scientific community. What if these objects are not random anomalies, but remnants of a technology far beyond what we have ever imagined? Could they be clues, hidden in plain sight, that suggest advanced knowledge or technology was used to build the pyramids? Knowledge that has been deliberately concealed to protect a narrative that fits the conventional understanding of human history. But that's not all. What if there are ancient texts, documents that have never been properly analyzed, that speak of gods descending from the skies and imparting their wisdom, knowledge, and technologies to the Egyptians? These ancient writings, often dismissed as myth or legend, may hold keys to understanding the true origins of the pyramids. Could these gods have been extraterrestrial beings? Could the technologies they brought with them be far more advanced than anything the Egyptians could have developed on their own? The deeper you dig, the more unsettling it becomes. Some theorists argue that the precise alignment of the pyramids with the stars, the use of energy manipulation, and other remarkable features of pyramid construction have been purposefully suppressed because they challenge everything we believe about ancient Egypt and the capabilities of ancient civilizations. The theory suggests that some discoveries that hint at advanced, possibly non-human, technologies have been buried or concealed to maintain control over the official narrative of human history and technological advancement. So why would Egyptologists, archaeologists, and historians choose to hide this information? Could it be that there is a deeper fear at play? A fear that if the real evidence of extraterrestrial or lost ancient technology were revealed, it would upend everything we know about the rise of humanity and the origins of our greatest achievements? Would it shatter the carefully crafted narrative that humanity has always been in control of its own technological progress, and that everything we have accomplished is a result of our own ingenuity? It's easy to see why some believe this information is being suppressed. The truth, if it ever came to light, could rewrite the entire story of human civilization and possibly show us that we are not the first to walk this earth with knowledge of the stars. Perhaps the pyramids, those grand and mysterious structures that have stood for thousands of years, are not just the work of Egyptians, but a legacy left behind by an earlier civilization, one that had knowledge and technologies far beyond what we could ever imagine. And maybe, just maybe, there are still more secrets buried beneath the sands of time, secrets that remain hidden, waiting for the right time to be uncovered. Who knows what might happen if the real evidence were ever brought to light? Would it change everything we know about history? Or would it force us to confront a reality we are not yet ready to accept? Perhaps the truth is more extraordinary and far more unsettling than we can even begin to comprehend. Some researchers suggest that the pyramids of Egypt were far more than monumental tombs or symbols of power. These structures, with their precise geometrical proportions, alignment to the stars, and intricate internal chambers, may have been designed to serve as energy devices, harnessing forces of the earth in ways modern science is only beginning to explore. The theory proposes that the Great Pyramid, in particular, was not built as a tomb for pharaohs, but as a sophisticated machine capable of generating energy on a massive scale. One hypothesis focuses on the piezoelectric properties of the limestone and granite used in construction, suggesting that these stones could produce electricity when subjected to pressure or vibrations. The weight of the massive blocks, coupled with the natural seismic activity of the region, could have caused vibrations that generated electrical currents, which were then stored or channeled through the internal chambers of the pyramid. This would mean that the pyramid itself acted as a gigantic generator, tapping into forces that humans at the time could not fully explain but clearly understood in practice. Another fascinating claim revolves around the production of hydrogen. Certain theories suggest that the combination of water, limestone, and heat inside specific chambers could have created small amounts of hydrogen gas, which could then be collected and used as a fuel source. If true, this would imply that the pyramids were not only energy generators, but also power plants capable of providing energy to the surrounding civilization. Some even speculate that the intricate internal passageways, chambers, and shafts were designed to maximize airflow, resonance, and energy conduction, allowing the pyramids to function with astonishing efficiency. The alignment of the Great Pyramid to the cardinal points, as well as its placement in relation to other pyramids on the Giza Plateau, could have enhanced its ability to tap into the Earth's magnetic field or cosmic energies, creating a network of power that extended beyond what we normally consider ancient technology. Then there is the more controversial theory that the pyramids may have served as stargates or portals, linking Earth to other dimensions or locations in the universe. Proponents of this idea point to the internal geometry of the pyramids, the precise angles of the passageways, and the specific placement of chambers, suggesting that they could have been designed to manipulate energy in a way that allowed access to other realms. Some theorists claim that ancient texts, myths, and carvings hint at the pyramids being sacred conduits, connecting the physical world with the celestial or spiritual worlds. They argue that the combination of piezoelectric effects, resonance, and alignment with celestial bodies could have created conditions where matter and energy interacted in ways that modern humans do not yet fully comprehend. The idea of hidden functions extends to the possibility that the pyramids could amplify sound, light, or energy vibrations to produce extraordinary effects. Some experiments in small-scale pyramid replicas have demonstrated unusual phenomena, such as preservation of organic matter, enhanced plant growth, and the concentration of electromagnetic fields. If scaled to the size of the Great Pyramid, these effects could have been amplified exponentially, suggesting that the ancient Egyptians may have understood natural forces and harnessed them to manipulate energy on a grand scale. The shafts within the Great Pyramid, traditionally interpreted as airways or symbolic passages, could have served as conduits for energy, sound, or particles, channeling and focusing these forces within specific chambers. Some theorists argue that the alignment of the pyramids with certain stars, such as Sirius and Orion, was not merely symbolic but functional, designed to synchronize the structures with cosmic energies. This synchronization could have amplified the pyramid's ability to generate power, connect with celestial forces, or even serve as a form of communication with distant worlds or intelligences. The idea is that the ancient builders were not just architects or engineers, but masters of energy, vibration, and resonance, capable of creating machines that defy conventional understanding. In essence, these theories suggest that the pyramids were not simply monuments to the dead, but were living, working structures designed to harness the hidden energies of the planet and cosmos. They challenge our understanding of ancient technology, proposing that the pyramids may have been power plants, energy amplifiers, or even stargates, functioning on principles that modern science is only beginning to glimpse. If even a fraction of these claims holds truth, it would mean that the pyramids were far more sophisticated than we can imagine, and that the knowledge of energy, resonance, and cosmic alignment possessed by the ancient builders was extraordinary, possibly rivaling or surpassing modern technological capabilities. Imagine for a moment that the construction of the pyramids was not achieved with a single method, but through the integration of multiple techniques that evolved over time, creating a system of construction that adapted to the changing needs and challenges faced by the ancient Egyptians. What if the ancient builders didn't rely on just one approach, such as ramps or sledges, but combined several methods in a dynamic and sophisticated way to tackle the monumental task of building the pyramids? Picture this: ramps, hydraulic systems, and seasonal Nile floods all working in harmony to help lift and position the massive stones with precision. First, consider the ingenious use of ramps, one of the most widely accepted methods for pyramid construction. The straight ramp theory, for example, suggests a long, mile-long structure built to carry stones up to the growing pyramid. But this would require an immense amount of labor and resources, and building such a ramp would have taken a considerable amount of time. This is where hydraulic systems come into play. What if the ancient Egyptians leveraged the annual Nile floods, which brought immense amounts of water to the region, to create a natural hydraulic system that would assist in lifting the stones? Instead of relying solely on human labor to drag massive blocks up a ramp, could they have used water to help float the stones, reducing the effort required to move them? Imagine the scene. The construction team works tirelessly, and as the Nile floods its banks, the waters rise to fill specially designed canals that surround the construction site. These channels could have directed the floodwaters into large basins or lifts, which would then use the water's buoyancy to float heavy blocks closer to their desired position. This would not only make the transportation process more efficient, but it would also drastically reduce the effort needed to move the stones. The combination of ramps and hydraulic lifts with the seasonal flooding of the Nile could have provided an incredible advantage to the builders, making an otherwise backbreaking task a bit more manageable. In addition to this, ramps themselves could have been modified over time to suit the changing needs of construction. Early ramps may have been simple straight paths, but as the pyramid grew taller, more complex zigzagging ramps or spiral ramps could have been built, wrapping around the structure itself, minimizing material needs and increasing the efficiency of stone movement. With this in mind, the Egyptians could have adapted their methods as the pyramid grew higher, integrating these ramps with hydraulic systems, utilizing the seasonal floods to help maneuver blocks up and around the pyramid. Let's not forget that these floods weren't just a natural phenomenon. They were predictable. The Egyptians knew the floods would come every year, which could have given them an almost perfectly timed opportunity to take advantage of the waters to assist in the construction. Imagine the precision and foresight needed to plan for these annual floods and integrate them into the construction schedule. The idea of using the Nile's seasonal floods would have been an extraordinary adaptation, turning a natural occurrence into a tool that helped them achieve a seemingly impossible feat. These multiple methods working together could have allowed the Egyptians to optimize their efforts, moving stones more efficiently, increasing the speed of construction, and overcoming some of the major challenges faced by ancient builders. While ramps and sledges may have been used for transporting the stones, hydraulic systems could have assisted in lifting the blocks to the higher levels of the pyramid, reducing the physical labor and allowing for a more systematic, coordinated construction process. This integration of methods over time presents an entirely new way to look at pyramid construction, one that involves not just human ingenuity, but an understanding of the natural world and the ability to manipulate it to the Egyptians' advantage. What if the construction of the pyramids wasn't as linear as we thought, with one method being used from start to finish, but instead involved a dynamic approach that adapted to the growing needs of the project? Could the Egyptians, using the power of the Nile's floods, have designed an incredibly efficient and multifaceted construction process, combining simple tools with advanced hydraulic principles to create the monumental structures we marvel at today? The use of ramps combined with hydraulic systems could be a brilliant yet overlooked solution to the challenges of pyramid construction. And it suggests that the Egyptians were not only brilliant engineers, but also keen observers of the natural world around them. The key to understanding how they built the pyramids might not lie in a single, static method, but in their ability to integrate multiple techniques, utilizing everything at their disposal to accomplish the impossible. The truth, it seems, may be far more complex than we've ever imagined. And perhaps the secret to the pyramid's construction lies in the delicate balance of human ingenuity, natural forces, and an evolving system of techniques that span generations. The Nile floods were not just a natural occurrence. They were an essential part of life in ancient Egypt, dictating everything from agriculture to the timing of monumental projects like the pyramids. The rise of the Nile every year was a force that shaped the very fabric of Egyptian society, and its role in pyramid construction cannot be overstated. For the ancient Egyptians, the annual flooding of the Nile presented both challenges and opportunities. One of the most remarkable opportunities being the use of these floods in the transportation and lifting of the massive stone blocks that make up the pyramids. During the flood season, the Nile would swell, overflowing its banks and transforming the land into a vast network of waterways. For the Egyptians, this flood was both a gift and a tool. It provided fertile soil for agriculture, but it also created a natural system for transporting materials. Imagine for a moment the vast quantities of stone needed for pyramid construction. Limestone for the outer casing, granite for the inner chambers. These materials came from quarries miles away, with the Tura limestone coming from quarries along the Nile, and the Aswan granite being transported from southern Egypt. But how could such heavy materials be moved with primitive tools? The answer lies in the flooding Nile. The floodwaters made it possible for the Egyptians to float the stone blocks to the pyramid site. Instead of using cumbersome sledges and manual labor to drag the massive blocks over land, the Egyptians could place the stone blocks onto large wooden boats or rafts, which would then be carried by the flowing waters of the Nile toward Giza. This method allowed for a more efficient and faster transportation of materials, drastically reducing the time and labor involved in hauling heavy stones across dry land. The seasonal floods, which reached their peak every summer, would have created the perfect window for transporting the massive quantities of materials needed for the pyramid's construction, with the rising water level acting as a natural highway for these heavy loads. Once the materials reached the construction site, the floods still played a crucial role in the process. The same floodwaters that carried the stone blocks could have been used to aid in lifting the blocks to the higher levels of the pyramid. Some theories propose that the Egyptians may have used hydraulic systems that worked in tandem with the natural floodwaters to assist in lifting the stone blocks as the pyramid grew taller. Imagine a system where water could be channeled into specially constructed basins or ramps, creating the necessary pressure to lift the stones. The hydraulic pressure from the Nile floods could have been used to raise the stones, reducing the amount of physical labor required to manually push and lift each block into place. The timing of the floods also played a crucial role in the overall construction process. The Egyptians knew when the Nile would flood and when it would recede, giving them a predictable window to plan their construction efforts. This allowed them to prepare for the rise in water levels, using it to their advantage when it came time to move materials and lift heavy stones. The flood season would have been the perfect time to focus on transporting materials, while the dry season could have been used for the actual construction of the pyramid as the water receded and the ground became solid again. The combination of the annual flooding cycle and the careful planning of resources allowed for the construction to be done in phases, ensuring that the pyramid was built with great efficiency. But it's not just the transportation and lifting of blocks that was affected by the Nile floods. The Egyptians' knowledge of the river's cycles played a role in the overall design of the pyramid as well. The placement of the pyramid at Giza, near the Nile's flow, was not accidental. It was a strategic decision to take advantage of the floodwaters for material transport and lifting. The alignment of the pyramid with the cardinal points and the stars may have also been influenced by the Egyptians' understanding of the Nile's seasonal rhythms, with the pyramid's positioning reflecting not just astronomical knowledge, but a deep understanding of the forces of nature. As the floodwaters gradually receded, leaving behind fertile land for crops, the Egyptians would have used the remaining water to assist in the final stages of construction. The precise use of the water, with ramps, basins, and specially designed channels, could have provided the necessary tools to move the stones into their final positions. The powerful connection between the Nile's annual floods and the construction of the pyramids was an embodiment of the Egyptians' mastery over the natural world, a mastery that allowed them to leverage the forces of nature to accomplish what we today would consider an impossible feat. What makes the role of the Nile floods even more fascinating is the fact that it may have not only helped with the physical aspects of building the pyramids, but also with their symbolic significance. The ancient Egyptians viewed the Nile as the lifeblood of their civilization, with the river playing a central role in both their daily lives and their spiritual beliefs. By using the floods in the construction of the pyramids, the Egyptians may have been symbolically connecting the monumental structures with the very essence of life itself, creating not just tombs for their pharaohs, but representations of cosmic harmony and balance. The seasonal floods, in all their power and predictability, helped transform the construction of the pyramids into a synchronized operation, where nature itself assisted in the monumental task. The integration of the Nile floods with the construction process is an example of how the ancient Egyptians didn't simply work with their environment. They worked with it in a way that turned the river's annual cycle into an integral part of their greatest achievements. Could this be the secret behind the pyramids' construction? A sophisticated understanding of natural forces and a deep connection to the land, using the Nile's seasonal rhythm as a powerful tool to move and lift the massive stones that still stand as symbols of ancient power and ingenuity? The Nile's role in pyramid construction is a testament to the Egyptians' ability to harness the natural world to achieve their goals, using the very river that shaped their civilization to build one of the most awe-inspiring structures in history. The floods were not just a backdrop to the construction process. They were a key player, a force that allowed the pyramids to rise into the sky, their precision and grandeur a reflection of the Egyptians' unparalleled understanding of the world around them. Long before recorded history, ancient civilizations thrived, their knowledge and technologies reaching heights that might astonish us today. These civilizations could have achieved feats that remain unfathomable, using advanced tools and methods that were beyond our current understanding. Yet, in a flash, everything they built could have been erased, wiped out by cataclysmic events so massive that they not only destroyed entire cultures, but also erased all traces of their remarkable accomplishments. One such event that stands at the center of this mystery is the Younger Dryas, a period that occurred around 12,800 years ago, when Earth suddenly plunged into an ice age, causing rapid climate shifts and widespread devastation. During this time, the planet underwent dramatic changes. Global temperatures plummeted, ecosystems were disrupted, and entire civilizations could have been wiped off the face of the Earth. Many theorists believe this period may have been the turning point, the very catalyst for the destruction of civilizations far more advanced than we've been taught to believe. These civilizations, armed with technologies capable of harnessing energy, constructing monumental structures, and understanding the universe, could have left behind knowledge that was lost to time. But what if the cataclysmic events weren't just natural disasters, but part of a technological regression? What if the survivors of these ancient civilizations had no way to access the technologies they once mastered, leading to a dark age where all the remarkable advancements of earlier peoples were forgotten? Could the Younger Dryas have been one of several global-scale disasters that wiped out the knowledge accumulated over millennia? Imagine an event so powerful, so disruptive, that it rendered humanity's achievements obsolete, forcing survivors to rebuild from the ground up, slowly rediscovering knowledge, but without the tools or wisdom that had once been within their grasp. What if the ancient Egyptians, with their remarkable engineering skills and advanced construction methods, were the inheritors of this lost knowledge, picking up the pieces of a once great civilization and adapting them to their own needs? The pyramids themselves may serve as a testament to this lost wisdom. The precision, the scale, and the complexity of these structures suggest the use of advanced methods that go far beyond what we consider possible for the time. Could the construction techniques employed by the Egyptians have been passed down from a much older, more advanced civilization? One that had the knowledge to build structures that could withstand not just time, but cosmic forces? If this lost knowledge had been passed down through generations, could the knowledge of energy, alignment, and construction be the lingering legacy of a forgotten age? There are also the unanswered questions surrounding the cosmic alignments and mathematical precision embedded in the pyramids. How could the Egyptians achieve such exacting measurements, such intricate alignments with celestial bodies like Orion's belt, without access to advanced tools or surveying instruments? Could the pyramids themselves be a remnant of lost technologies, knowledge from a civilization that once understood the stars, the Earth's energies, and how to tap into those forces to build structures that were not just tombs, but beacons of ancient wisdom? Theories suggest that the lost technologies weren't limited to architecture and astronomy. What if these ancient civilizations had the power to manipulate energy, harness the forces of nature in ways that we cannot even begin to imagine today? Could they have used gravitational manipulation, resonance, or even electromagnetic energy to move massive stone blocks and generate power on a scale we have not yet rediscovered? The mysterious Saqqara bird, which bears an uncanny resemblance to a modern airplane, could be a piece of evidence that suggests knowledge of aerodynamics and flight, technologies that could have been passed down from the lost civilization, only to be lost again during the cataclysm. The younger Dryas may have wiped out more than just physical structures. It may have erased the knowledge of how to use these technologies. The survivors, left with only fragments of this ancient wisdom, would have been unable to fully grasp the depth of what had been lost. The myths, legends, and ancient stories passed down through generations may carry the faintest echoes of this lost civilization, speaking of gods who descended from the skies, of golden ages, and of wisdom that connected humanity to the stars. Could the ancient Egyptians, then, be part of a long line of cultures who inherited pieces of this lost knowledge? Could the pyramids themselves hold the key to unlocking the technologies of an ancient, forgotten civilization? Technologies that could manipulate energy, align with the cosmos, and connect humanity to something far greater than we have ever realized? The answers remain buried beneath the sands of time, hidden by forces far beyond our control. But perhaps one day they will be uncovered, revealing a truth about our history that has long been obscured. What if the younger Dryas wasn't just a climatic event, but the pivotal moment in human history when the secrets of an advanced civilization were lost? Could we still be walking in the shadow of their legacy, unknowingly standing on the remnants of a time when humanity had the knowledge to shape the very fabric of reality itself? The true story of human civilization may still be waiting to be told, waiting to be uncovered from the depths of time. And when it is, it may change everything we know about our past and our potential for the future. In the world of experimental archaeology, the methods of pyramid construction have long been a topic of intense debate and curiosity. In recent years, modern scientific experiments have shed new light on the possibilities of how the massive blocks that make up the pyramids were created, transported, and placed with such precision. One fascinating development comes from MIT's geopolymer concrete experiments, which explore the idea that the stone blocks used in the pyramids were not necessarily carved from quarries, but could have been produced on site, using a form of synthetic concrete. This concept, suggested by Joseph Davidovits, proposes that the ancient Egyptians, or even a lost civilization before them, could have cast the blocks similar to how we produce concrete today. Geopolymer concrete is created by combining natural materials like limestone, clay, and water, heated to high temperatures to create a strong, durable material that mimics the properties of stone. MIT's experiments with geopolymer concrete suggest that it's possible to recreate the stones used in pyramid construction with a similar process. The key idea is that these blocks could have been poured into molds on site, much like modern concrete, and then hardened in place. This method would eliminate the need for the labor-intensive task of cutting, shaping, and transporting massive stone blocks from far-off quarries. The technology, if it were available to the ancient Egyptians, would allow them to produce the materials needed to build the pyramids more efficiently. However, while this process might solve the mystery of how the blocks could have been produced more efficiently, the downside is the labor intensity required to create these blocks. Just as modern concrete requires careful mixing and labor to prepare, it's likely that the ancient process would have involved significant human effort. Pouring, curing, and placing the blocks, especially on a scale as monumental as the pyramids, would have demanded a workforce of incredible size and organization. Though the concept of geopolymer concrete provides a potential solution to some of the mysteries surrounding the materials of the pyramids, it also raises intriguing questions about how advanced the knowledge of these ancient civilizations truly was. Could this technology have been passed down from an even earlier, more advanced civilization? Could the Egyptians have inherited this method from a people who understood how to manipulate materials in ways that modern humanity has only recently rediscovered? Then there is the theory of global knowledge exchange. The idea that the knowledge of pyramid construction, advanced engineering, and architectural techniques might have been shared across different civilizations long before recorded history. The existence of pyramids in cultures all over the world, from Egypt to Bosnia to China, points to the possibility that there was some form of global exchange of knowledge that transcended geographical boundaries. The Bosnian pyramid of Visoko, for example, has attracted attention in recent years due to its controversial claim that it could be the oldest pyramid in the world, possibly older than those in Egypt. According to proponents of this theory, the pyramids in Bosnia share striking similarities with those in Egypt, leading some to speculate that both structures may have been built using similar techniques and possibly by the same or interconnected civilizations. Further east, the Chinese pyramids have been the subject of much intrigue and speculation. While the Egyptian pyramids are well known to the public, the Chinese pyramids, particularly those in the Xianyang region, are largely hidden from mainstream discussion. Some researchers claim that these pyramids share architectural characteristics with those of Egypt, leading to the hypothesis that ancient cultures may have exchanged building techniques and knowledge long before written history. Could these pyramids be evidence of a lost global network of advanced civilizations, where the knowledge of pyramid construction was shared across the continents? And if this global exchange of knowledge existed, could it explain the remarkably similar pyramid structures found in different parts of the world, separated by vast distances and separated by thousands of years? These theories of global knowledge exchange challenge the conventional narrative of isolated ancient civilizations, suggesting that there was a broader, interconnected world of ancient societies with a shared understanding of advanced architecture, engineering, and possibly even energy manipulation. The evidence, though fragmented, points to a world where the exchange of knowledge was not restricted by geography or time. It's possible that the ancient pyramids, whether in Egypt, Bosnia, China, or elsewhere, were not isolated accomplishments, but the product of a much larger, interconnected web of ancient civilizations who had mastered the art of building with precision and purpose. Could it be that the pyramids, with their undeniable similarities across cultures, were a common language of construction, passed down through generations of highly advanced peoples? And if so, what happened to this knowledge? Was it lost in the cataclysmic events of the Younger Dryas, or did it simply fade into obscurity as these civilizations fell into decline? The mysteries surrounding the pyramids and the ancient technologies used to build them continue to provoke questions, some of which may never be fully answered. However, the work being done by experimental archaeologists and the growing body of evidence from global pyramid structures suggests that the story of pyramid construction is far more complex than we ever imagined. It's a story that may stretch across the world, uniting ancient civilizations through shared knowledge, advanced technologies, and a common desire to create monuments that would stand the test of time. Imagine standing at the base of the Great Pyramid, gazing up at its towering form, a structure that has baffled engineers, historians, and architects for centuries. The question that has perplexed many is, how did the ancient Egyptians manage to build such a colossal monument, with massive stone blocks that weigh several tons, all with the rudimentary tools available to them at the time? For years, mainstream theories have suggested the use of ramps, but what if the answer isn't found in the traditional ramp models we've been taught? What if the pyramids were not built with external ramps at all, but were constructed using a method that allowed the builders to work from within the pyramid itself? In 2022, a groundbreaking theory emerged, offering a fresh perspective on how the Great Pyramid could have been built without the need for external ramps that would have had to be dismantled as construction progressed. This theory proposes that the internal ramp configuration could have been used to allow the construction process to unfold from inside the pyramid, thus solving many of the problems that traditional ramp models have struggled to address. What if, instead of building an external ramp to carry stone blocks up the sides of the pyramid, the Egyptians created a ramp system within the pyramid's internal structure that allowed workers to gradually transport the massive stones upward as the pyramid took shape? The idea of an internal ramp is both simple and ingenious. Instead of constructing a massive ramp outside the pyramid that would have required countless resources and manpower to build and then dismantle, the builders could have created a system of zigzagging ramps or spirals inside the pyramid itself, hidden from view. This would allow the construction to occur from the inside, with each new layer of the pyramid being built as the workers moved upward along these internal pathways. Imagine the ramp following the outline of the pyramid's internal chambers, gradually spiraling up, allowing workers to lift and position the stone blocks in place without the need for external ramps that would have taken up valuable space and material. This theory also explains a key problem that traditional external ramp models face: the need to dismantle the ramp as construction advanced. With an external ramp, the workers would have had to tear it down as they built higher, wasting time and effort that could have been spent on the pyramid itself. With the internal ramp theory, this problem is eliminated, as the construction would proceed from the inside out, with the ramp hidden and remaining in place as the pyramid grew taller. The workers would have simply continued using the same system, gradually building the pyramid from within, without the need to worry about dismantling anything once the construction reached higher levels. But the internal ramp theory does not stop at just the concept of ramps inside the pyramid. It offers insight into the organization and coordination of the labor force required for such a feat. The internal ramp would not have been a single straight path, but a complex system of interconnected pathways, which could have included switchback ramps, shafts, and even chambers where stones could have been stored and lifted. These ramps would have wound around the internal chambers and passageways of the pyramid, allowing for efficient movement of materials while the workers were shielded from the harsh elements outside. It is likely that this system also involved counterweights, pulley mechanisms, or even other forms of energy manipulation, providing the means to lift and move stones of such great weight and size. Furthermore, the internal ramp theory offers an explanation for the precise alignment and mathematical proportions of the pyramid, which would have been necessary to ensure the perfect fit of each stone as the pyramid grew taller. The internal ramps would have been designed in such a way that the stones could be lifted with extreme accuracy, placed in position in alignment with the pyramid's celestial and geographical markers. The theory suggests that the ramps could have followed the precise layout of the pyramid, ensuring that each stone was placed with the precision needed to achieve the flawless alignment seen today. This theory also accounts for the remarkable efficiency of the construction process, which is something that has puzzled historians for years. How could the Egyptians have built the pyramids with the amount of labor and resources available to them? The answer may lie in the fact that the internal ramps allowed for continuous construction, enabling workers to keep building without the need to halt the project for the dismantling of external ramps. By using an internal ramp system, the construction process could have been carried out in phases, with each layer of the pyramid being completed progressively from the inside, without the interruption of tearing down and rebuilding external ramps. The internal ramp theory also helps explain why some of the pyramid's internal features, such as the grand gallery and narrow shafts, seem to play a role in the lifting process. Some researchers believe these chambers and passageways were specifically designed to work with the internal ramps, forming an intricate system that worked together to move the massive stone blocks upward. The gallery, with its massive dimensions and incline, could have acted as a passage for both the ramps and the counterweights used to lift the stones. The more we consider this theory, the more it starts to make sense. The Great Pyramid was designed with both functionality and efficiency in mind, allowing the workers to continuously build and transport stones from the inside without worrying about external ramps taking up space or resources. The use of an internal ramp could have revolutionized the construction process, allowing for a steady flow of materials and labor while maintaining the precision and grandeur that we see today. The 2022 internal ramp theory is a remarkable solution that provides a possible answer to many of the long-standing questions surrounding the construction of the pyramids. It challenges our traditional understanding of how these monumental structures were built and offers a fresh perspective on the incredible ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians. The idea that the pyramid was constructed from within, using a system that kept the labor force hidden and efficient, is a compelling argument that continues to grow in popularity and provides a stunning new lens through which to view one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world. For years, the traditional theory has suggested that the massive stone blocks of the pyramids were quarried and manually transported to the site, a process that seems nearly impossible considering the tools and labor available to the ancient Egyptians. But what if the story of the pyramids is far more intricate and innovative than we have ever imagined? What if the stone blocks used in the construction were not cut from quarries, but instead poured on site, created from a type of synthetic stone using a material far more advanced than anything we have thought the Egyptians could have possessed? Enter the theory of geopolymer concrete, proposed by Joseph Davidovits, a French scientist, in the 1970s. Davidovits' theory suggests that the ancient Egyptians did not carve and transport massive stone blocks, but rather cast them in molds on the construction site, using a substance that mimicked the properties of natural stone. Davidovits' theory is revolutionary in that it challenges the traditional view of pyramid construction, proposing that geopolymer concrete, a synthetic stone made by combining limestone, clay, and water with other natural minerals, could have been used to form the building blocks for the pyramids. This concrete would have been poured into molds on site, where it would harden into durable blocks, perfect for the pyramid's construction. The idea is that the Egyptians discovered the secret of geopolymerization, a process that allows for the formation of strong, stone-like material without the need to mine or carve large blocks from quarries. By mixing certain materials in specific ways, the Egyptians could have created their own version of concrete, capable of mimicking the strength, texture, and appearance of natural stone. Imagine for a moment the efficiency of this method. Rather than spending time and energy carving massive stone blocks from distant quarries, the Egyptians could have mixed their own building material right on the pyramid site, creating blocks as needed. These blocks would have been cast into molds, ready to be moved into position as the pyramid's construction progressed. This would have drastically reduced the need for extensive labor and transportation, making the construction process much faster and more efficient than previously thought possible. The Egyptians would have had a constant supply of material at their fingertips, creating each block as the pyramid rose higher and higher, all without the need to quarry and move large stones. What makes this theory even more intriguing is that it helps explain the precise alignment and uniformity of the pyramid stones. Traditional stone blocks quarried from the earth often have inconsistencies in shape and size, which would have made the pyramid's construction far more challenging. But geopolymer concrete could have been poured into molds with exact measurements, ensuring that each block was uniform and perfectly suited to fit into the pyramid's intricate design. This precision is key to understanding how the ancient Egyptians could have achieved such perfection without the sophisticated tools and machines that we use today. The uniformity of the blocks also suggests a level of technological mastery that goes far beyond what we typically associate with ancient Egypt. Davidovits also suggests that the geopolymer concrete used to create the blocks would have been highly resistant to environmental wear, making the pyramid's construction even more impressive. The material, once poured and allowed to set, would have been incredibly durable, capable of withstanding the elements, the test of time, and even seismic activity. This adds another layer of complexity to the theory, as it implies the ancient Egyptians were not only capable of creating strong materials, but were also aware of the long-term durability needed to ensure their structures would stand for thousands of years. The pyramids, built from these geopolymer blocks, could have been designed to last for eternity, standing as a testament to the technological prowess of a civilization that was far more advanced than we typically give them credit for. Furthermore, the casting of blocks using geopolymer concrete could also explain some of the mysterious features of the pyramid stones themselves. One of the most baffling aspects of the Great Pyramid is the fact that some of the stones, particularly the blocks in the inner chambers, appear to have been melted or fused together in a way that seems unnatural. There are signs of smooth, even surfaces and fused joints that suggest the blocks were not simply quarried, but were possibly melted and molded in some form. This idea of casting the stones as geopolymer concrete might explain why some of these blocks appear so smooth and perfectly fitted, as though they were designed and formed with advanced techniques that we have not yet fully understood. The theory of geopolymer concrete also raises the possibility that the knowledge of this technology was passed down from an even older, more advanced civilization. Could the Egyptians, like other ancient cultures, have inherited this knowledge from a previous civilization that had perfected the art of geopolymerization? Some theorists suggest that the lost knowledge of Atlantis, or a similar ancient culture, could have included advanced techniques for creating synthetic materials, which were then passed down to later cultures. This would explain the extraordinary precision and technological achievements of ancient civilizations that we have yet to fully comprehend. While mainstream archaeology and Egyptology largely reject Davidovits' theory, the idea that the pyramids could have been built using geopolymer concrete offers a fascinating alternative to the traditional narrative of ancient construction. It challenges our understanding of what was possible in the ancient world and pushes us to reconsider how advanced early civilizations might have been in their understanding of chemistry, materials science, and construction techniques. The more we learn about geopolymerization, the more it seems possible that the ancient Egyptians, or even earlier civilizations, could have harnessed these natural processes to create materials and structures that were far beyond what we can achieve today. In the end, the geopolymer concrete theory invites us to rethink the construction of the pyramids as not just a feat of labor and raw materials, but as a sophisticated process of creating artificial stone that allowed the ancient Egyptians to build rapidly, efficiently, and precisely. Whether or not this theory is correct, it opens up new possibilities and raises intriguing questions about the ancient world's hidden knowledge. Could the Egyptians have had access to technologies that we are only now beginning to uncover? And could the pyramids themselves hold the key to unlocking these lost secrets? The mystery continues to unfold, one theory at a time. Picture this: a vast stone block weighing several tons, effortlessly floating above the ground, defying gravity as if by magic. The scene might sound straight out of science fiction, but what if this was actually a hidden technology used in the construction of the pyramids? Imagine for a moment that the ancient Egyptians, or perhaps an even older civilization, had discovered the ability to lift massive stone blocks using nothing but sound waves. This idea, known as acoustic levitation, has sparked the imagination of many researchers, even though it remains speculative and unproven. What if the pyramids were not built by laborers dragging massive stones with sledges or hauling them up ramps, but by using sound to levitate and position the stones with unbelievable precision? Acoustic levitation, in its simplest form, refers to the ability to lift objects using sound waves, specifically high-frequency sound waves, to create pressure and vibration strong enough to counteract gravity. In modern science, we know that sound waves, when focused in the right direction, can create standing waves that generate pockets of high pressure in the air, creating a kind of lifting force. What if this principle was harnessed by the ancient Egyptians to move massive blocks of stone with incredible ease, lifting them as if they were weightless? The idea sounds outlandish, but there's a growing body of research in modern science that suggests sound can indeed manipulate objects, including tiny particles and even larger materials under the right conditions. Now, imagine ancient engineers using acoustic levitation technology in a way we cannot fully comprehend today. The theory goes that the Egyptians, or an even earlier civilization with more advanced knowledge, could have used massive arrays of sound generators, or even resonant frequencies that interacted with the stones, causing them to levitate and move through the air with minimal effort. These devices could have been designed to produce sound waves at frequencies so high that they could create vibrational effects capable of lifting and maneuvering stone blocks weighing several tons. Perhaps the builders of the pyramids didn't need cranes or pulleys at all. What if they had discovered the power of acoustic resonance to manipulate the physical world around them? One of the key pieces of evidence for this theory is the precise alignment and perfect fitting of the pyramid stones. When you look closely at the stones used to construct the Great Pyramid, they are almost perfectly cut and shaped, fitting together with such precision that not even a razor blade can slip between them. How could a civilization, using only rudimentary tools, have achieved such a high degree of precision? Could sound-based lifting have been the secret? By using acoustic waves to guide and position these massive blocks, the ancient builders might have been able to place them with incredible accuracy, ensuring that each stone aligned perfectly with the others. Let's take this a step further. If sound waves could be used to lift and move stones, could they also be used to cut the stones with the same precision? Some theorists believe that the ancient Egyptians might have used sound to vibrate the stones into shape, causing the material to become more pliable under the influence of these powerful sound waves. It would be like using resonance to break or soften the stones, making them easier to carve and shape. Think of it as a natural stone saw, powered not by blades or chisels, but by the unseen forces of sound waves. The concept of using sound for levitation and material manipulation is not entirely outside the realm of possibility. Modern scientists have already demonstrated the ability to levitate small objects, using high-frequency sound waves in laboratory conditions, and some researchers speculate that the ancient Egyptians might have had a similar technology, lost to time. Could it be that the Egyptians used sound chambers, places designed to focus and amplify specific frequencies, to manipulate the stones? These chambers could have been designed to resonate at the exact frequencies needed to levitate and move the blocks into place. Imagine an enormous room, hidden deep within the pyramid, filled with ancient sound devices, all tuned to the perfect frequency to move and position the stones with extraordinary precision. Moreover, the ancient Egyptians were known to be highly astute astronomers and engineers, with a profound understanding of the forces that govern the universe. What if they discovered the harmonic frequencies of the earth, the ones that resonated with the materials they were working with? What if the pyramids themselves were constructed with a profound understanding of the relationship between sound, vibration, and material physics? The alignment of the pyramids to the stars could have been not just a symbolic act, but a functional one, allowing the pyramid to resonate with the cosmic energies, amplifying the power of the sound-based lifting technology. Another compelling aspect of the theory involves the Great Pyramid's internal chambers. These chambers, with their unusual shapes and precise construction, could have been more than just symbolic or ritualistic. They could have been acoustic chambers, designed specifically to amplify sound waves and create the conditions necessary for levitation. Some suggest that the Grand Gallery, with its precise measurements and unique shape, might have been the key to focusing sound waves in a way that allowed the blocks to be lifted with minimal effort. The internal shafts might have been aligned to focus sound in specific directions, enabling the manipulation of the stones. This theory of acoustic levitation also offers a possible explanation for the mysterious construction methods of the Maya and other ancient pyramid builders across the globe. Could it be that acoustic levitation was a widespread technology, passed down across ancient cultures, and used to build the pyramids in Egypt, Mesoamerica, and beyond? Could civilizations from all over the world have been tapping into the same universal principles of resonance and vibration to move massive stones with ease? While acoustic levitation remains unproven, the idea that ancient civilizations had access to sound-based technology that could manipulate the physical world opens up a world of possibilities. The ancient Egyptians might not have been limited by the tools we assume they used, but instead might have had access to a lost science, one that allowed them to perform feats of engineering that still leave us in awe today. The true construction methods of the pyramids may lie hidden in the vibrations of the earth itself, waiting to be discovered by those willing to listen to the whispers of the ancient world. What if the pyramids, those towering giants of stone, were built not just with human hands, but with the power of sound itself? Imagine the ancient Egyptians standing at the base of the Great Pyramid, looking up at the towering structure as it gradually rises from the desert. How did they lift those massive stone blocks, each one weighing several tons, and place them with such precision? For centuries, historians and archaeologists have debated the methods that could have been used. But what if the Egyptians had access to something far more advanced than simple ramps or manual labor? What if they employed mechanical devices like cranes and proto-pulleys, early versions of the machines we use today? The theory of early cranes and pulleys has gained traction in recent years, thanks in part to research done by the University of Florida, which has proposed that the ancient Egyptians might have used simple but effective mechanical systems to lift and position the massive stones. According to these models, the Egyptians were not limited to brute force or rudimentary methods. They may have used a combination of early cranes and pulleys to assist in the construction of the pyramids, lifting the massive stone blocks with unprecedented efficiency. At the heart of this theory is the concept of the pulley, a device that has been used for thousands of years to lift heavy objects by redirecting force and making it easier to move large weights. In the case of the Egyptians, they might have employed primitive forms of pulleys, using simple wooden structures and ropes to lift and transport stones with a fraction of the effort required by manual labor alone. The pulley system works by using a wheel and rope to change the direction of force, making it easier to lift objects vertically by applying force in a more efficient direction. While the full-fledged pulley systems we use today were not yet developed, primitive pulley systems could have been constructed using simple materials like wood, rope, and perhaps even early forms of levers to amplify the lifting power. The University of Florida models propose that early cranes could have been built with simple mechanical systems to help lift the stones. These cranes would not have been the massive machines we envision today, but rather smaller, more rudimentary versions, possibly powered by human labor or simple animal assistance. The crane would have used a rotating mechanism, a lever arm, and possibly a counterweight system to lift and move the stones to higher levels. In essence, this early crane system would have allowed the Egyptians to use mechanical advantage, reducing the strain on their workforce and enabling them to place large blocks into position more effectively. Imagine these cranes operating at the base of the pyramid, their wooden arms swinging as teams of workers hoisted stone blocks into place, using ropes and counterweights to lift and lower each block with precision. The cranes would have been positioned along the pyramid's outer edges, with ropes extending to the stone blocks, and as the crane's arm lifted the stone, workers would have directed it into position, using additional tools like levers or rollers to adjust the stone's alignment. This system of counterweights would have been crucial in balancing the load, ensuring that the stone blocks could be lifted safely and with minimal effort. In addition to cranes, the use of levers and rollers could have further amplified the lifting capabilities of the Egyptians. Levers, which operate on the principle of mechanical advantage, could have been used to lift the blocks from the ground, applying a small force over a longer distance to move large weights with ease. Workers could have inserted rollers under the stones, using levers to lift the blocks, and then rolling them along the ground until they reached the crane's position, where the blocks would then be lifted vertically. This combination of levers, pulleys, and cranes would have allowed for a highly coordinated, efficient method of construction, significantly reducing the reliance on manual labor and increasing the speed of the pyramid's rise. These models of early cranes and pulleys also offer a more practical solution to some of the most perplexing questions about pyramid construction. One of the biggest challenges faced by traditional ramp theories is how to transport and lift stone blocks as the pyramid grows taller. The counterweight crane system could have provided the answer, enabling workers to continue lifting stones without the need for large external ramps that would have required dismantling as the pyramid's height increased. By using cranes positioned at key points around the pyramid, workers could have lifted stones directly into place as the pyramid's structure grew, without the need for long, resource-draining ramps. The University of Florida models also suggest that these early cranes could have been powered by human labor, but it's possible that animals such as oxen or donkeys could have been used to provide additional power. These animals, harnessed to the crane's mechanism, could have helped turn the wheel or operate the lifting system, providing the necessary force to lift even the heaviest stones. With animals assisting in the operation of the cranes, the Egyptian workforce would have been able to move large blocks more quickly and efficiently, allowing for faster construction of the pyramids. Another significant advantage of using mechanical devices, like cranes and pulleys, is their ability to achieve the precision seen in the pyramids. The ancient Egyptians were masters of alignment, and the stones in the Great Pyramid are laid with such exactness that not even a razor blade can slip between them. By using cranes and pulleys, the Egyptians could have moved each stone with greater control, ensuring that the blocks were placed with the utmost precision, fitting perfectly into the pyramid's intricate design. These mechanical devices would have allowed workers to position the stones with unparalleled accuracy, making sure that the structure was built with the perfect alignment to the stars, the cardinal directions, and the sacred geometry that the Egyptians were known for. This theory of early cranes and pulleys offers a compelling alternative to the traditional methods of pyramid construction, suggesting that the ancient Egyptians had access to mechanical technologies far ahead of their time. The combination of cranes, pulleys, levers, and counterweights could have provided the Egyptians with the tools they needed to move massive stones with ease, reducing the labor required and enabling them to construct these towering monuments with remarkable speed and precision. The more we explore these alternative theories, the more it becomes clear that the Egyptians were not just builders, they were innovators, harnessing the power of mechanical devices to achieve the impossible. So next time you gaze at the Great Pyramid, remember that its construction may not have been just a monumental feat of human labor and sweat, but also a triumph of mechanical ingenuity, where early cranes and pulleys helped elevate the stones into place, creating a structure that still stands as one of the greatest architectural achievements of all time. The mysteries of the pyramid's construction may still hold secrets, but with each new theory, we inch closer to understanding the brilliance behind these awe-inspiring wonders.